Hello, good afternoon, and thank you for having me today. I am very sorry that I'm not able to join you personally or in person because there's many other activities that have been in conflict with the event right now. But congratulations to FALDEF for putting up this kind of event. It is timely because it's International Women's Day. So I had a conversation with Attorney Lizelle, and I would provide you the human face of VAWA and human trafficking, being a journalist. So I'm able to talk to people whose narratives are as horrendous as being a victim of domestic violence or being trafficked sexually or through labor. So, first of all, VAWA or is a domestic violence is a circular kind of crime, and because it is relational. Circular meaning when the victim leaves or decides to stop the abuse, it she or he has the tendency to go around it and go back to her abuser. So that is on the psychological aspect of it. And also on the economic side, the abused person or partner has economic insufficiencies or inability to support herself, himself, and her family. That's why he or she goes back to the abuser. So that's a lot. That this is a pattern that, as a writer, I have observed and actually interviewed people who are into this kind of stressful situation. And I'd like to share a story by Justine Calma. Justine is a journalist. Right now, she is with a huge corporate news agency, news company. But we were together in the Aspiring Writers Mentoring Program way back in, when was this? 2015. And so Justin wrote something on an important piece on domestic violence. And so it's being compiled in my magazine, Awesome, for its 10th year anniversary, 10th anniversary. And so an important factor in Justine's story, it's titled Domestic Violence Survivor Fight for Fair Housing, and they are starting to win. So domestic people who are in abusive relationships tend to stay for a long time with their abusive partners because, as mentioned, there is lack of capability to support herself and her family. So here the story on Miss B. She has been just named Miss B to protect her privacy and for her safety too. Like her husband already threatened to kill her if she sleeps, and so she wouldn't sleep. And when trying to come up with a solution to this problem to leave her home, the 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 documentation requirements to get into public housing is just so crazy difficult and tedious. So it was not very fast that she was able to get housing. And so the article was able to interview the Department of Planning Office, and the nonprofit housing organization that provides shelter to people uh, in domestic violent relationships. So it has noted that the city has only approved 11% of those who claim that they're they're part of an abusive relationship. So 11%. So New York, the community, in fact, is not that quick or supportive when it comes to providing shelter and to families who are in distress. internally with domestic violence issues. So that is a number one concern, how you try to stop the bureaucratic procedure when it's an emergency. But then that is the situation then, and it is the situation now. That is something which really perpetuates domestic violence. And so, in fact, this story was written in 2015, was published in 2015. We worked on this with Justine and the National Writers Union, and it still holds true today. So for me, if we provide support to friends who are victims of domestic violence, although it's only temporary, you can let her stay in your house if you have space, but then eventually they will go back to the abuser if she has no capability to pay for her own rent, and if public housing takes a lot of time that you get approved. So that's a standing issue until now. And also now we'll go to human trafficking. Human trafficking is also one of the most difficult subjects that I write as a journalist. This domestic violence and human trafficking, they are difficult to tackle as a journalist because it's emotional and life and limbs are at stake here. Now, the US actually is ranked as one of the worst countries with human trafficking statistics. And California is the has the highest human trafficking rate in the US. In 2020, it had a reported 1,334 cases. And then Texas follows with 987, Florida with 738 cases, and New York 414 cases. Now, these states, as you would see, have the highest populations in the U.S. So that's one of the reasons, and also it's significantly it has a high immigration population. And so there's also the presence of agriculture, which is an environment for forced labor. So my friend Susan Pineda, who is a chief paralegal working in Washington, D.C., I'd like to quote her. She said that, modern day society is blind to people who have been trafficked and enslaved. In fact, those trafficked people don't even know that they've been trafficked already. So the lawyers in this forum will provide you I guess they will provide you with a checklist of what constitutes when a person is being trafficked. But then on my part as a writer, I have come across Filipinos who were trafficked, and yes, they didn't know they were trafficked, but they just complain of their low salaries and no health benefits at work. And then, in fact, there is a conversation with in my house before, and her name, I'll just hide her by the name Rose. So Ate Rose was like telling me her problems, like her pay is low, and she has a lot of bills to pay and money to send to the family in the Philippines. So, and then there our conversation deepened, and so she told me how she came to the US, and then I realized that she was being trafficked. So Ate did not even know that. And so with that, I was able to help her and connect her to a lawyer who would have helped her in her immigration papers. So Ate is so grateful for that linkage, and to me it was just like a responsibility that I've seen that I should do after hearing her narrative. So we need to have deep conversations with anyone, and it starts with a level of trust, because people who have been trafficked are shamed. They don't know they're trafficked. They're just shamed of their condition, being in the shadow. they also blame themselves, like, oh, it's my fault maybe that because I came here and I was very not mindless, not was very careless, not looking at all the aspects of work, and then finally she ends up being exploited and unable to bear the exploitation. So it takes trust for people to confide to us this kind of situation. So my take is like, being an immigrant, being a Filipino, we need to listen to people of their stories and see how much help we can provide, because like that's part of that's being a human being, just to provide help. It doesn't take much. You just connect them to the correct lawyers and correct agencies, and so they're able to get out of their harrowing condition. So, as a writer, I do not, I, I continue to write about this situation on human trafficking and VAWA. It's a personal contribution to help people other than a professional on the professional level. So that's my input for this seminar, and I'd like to thank you so much. So all the best, and thank you, FALDEF, for giving me this time. Bye for now. Thank you.